Okay, in this video I'm going to have some fun, and I'm going to go full tinfoil hat conspiracy theory on the original Bioshock. So recently I made a video on seasteading, and if they could be the first step towards seeing a real life Rapture. I'll leave a link in the description for anyone interested in that. So for the video I went back to play the original game to get some clips to use, but I ended up playing the whole game, and then I ended up playing the whole second game too, which just goes to show you how good the games really are. And while I played, I picked up some information in a Suchong diary about Andrew Ryan and Vita Chambers that started me down the road for this video. If you haven't heard it, here's the diary.
Initial deployment, Vita Chamber. Client Ryan Industries, stage 1 is complete. Sinclair and Alexander tried to explain the science to me, but Suchong does not believe them. They keep saying plasmid reconstruction this and quantum entanglement that, and then poof, dead people come back to life. Bullshit! Of course, Ryan will only allow it to be tuned to his genetic frequencies for the testing.
So, Ryan had the Vita Chambers tuned to his genetic frequencies, and this is why the player who was created with his DNA can use them. And at first I thought the chambers were just a gameplay feature, not really meant to be taken too serious. But after hearing the diary that makes you see the possibility that Andrew Ryan could have survived the brutal suicide by slave. And so after thinking about the video, and I looked up some information, and there's like endless debates on forums and stuff, and the consensus seems to be that Ryan had turned off the chamber in his office so that he would stay dead. I missed that when I played, but I went back to check to make sure it's true, and it was. The chamber is deactivated. So when you run from his body to the back of the office, you can see that, and then you can turn it on. And apparently Ryan can only respawn at a Vita chamber close to him. That's kind of like the rule that people have been saying. I haven't really seen any evidence of that. I might have missed it, but here's where the conspiracy really begins. Now, why couldn't he respawn at a further Vita chamber? And why would he want to spawn at the one in his office? He knew he was about to be killed by the player, so he wouldn't want to appear in front of the player who just killed him. And what if his intention was to make it appear he was dead? Ryan isn't stupid, so in order to really escape Rapture, he would have to make it appear he was dead, so no one would go looking for him later. He could have easily had a Vita chamber hidden nearby right next to a bathysphere that took him to the surface, and then he made his escape from there. He did leave America, and he built Rapture at the bottom of the sea so he could be left alone. So when all hope was lost there, he could have activated the self-destruct. Just like he burned down his forest, the government wanted to nationalize, and then he made it, and then he left. So he could have just repeated the same actions as before. And Ryan seemed like way too relaxed for somebody about to die too. He's playing golf. He's speaking calmly. It seems like somebody like he knew he would be fine. He would be resurrected. He just wanted to make his point to the player, and then make his secret escape. But I could see a lot of people doubting that. But any doubts about Ryan being able to resurrect himself with a Vita chamber, it pretty much goes out the window with Bioshock 2. Where you had the main character being brought back to life 10 years after being killed.
There we are. He's perfectly safe now. This is not your daughter. Do you understand? Her name is Eleanor, and she is mine. Now, kneel, please. Remove your helmet. Now, take the pistol. Place it against your head. Fire.
me. You're
So the player, a former Big Daddy named Delta, he's resurrected by his former little sister Eleanor. She uses her fellow little sisters to find samples of his genetic sequence, and then they use it to bring him back to life through a Vita chamber. So if anyone can be brought back 10 years later in this world, then Andrew Ryan definitely could have found a way to come back. Also in part 2, Sophia Lamb mentions something about someone who dies of trauma. Here's the video.
His body is shutting down now, naturally. But if he dies of trauma, he will return elsewhere. Full restraints at all times. No one enters this room until he expires.
And Andrew Ryan, having a golf club smashed into his head, I think certainly qualifies for trauma. And she also mentioned if Delta was killed by trauma, he would return elsewhere. She didn't say, not at a specific Vita chamber, the closest Vita chamber. So that opens the possibility that somebody could come back through any Vita chamber in the area, or one other than the one that's closest. But let's step back and talk about Ryan and suicide. As most people know, he's based off of Ayn Rand, the founder of the philosophy of objectivism, which says that the proper moral purpose of one's life is the pursuit of one's own happiness. So for this video, I thought I should check out to see what she said on the subject. And Rand thinks that you have the right to commit suicide, but thinks it's highly inadvisable. So philosophically, suicide is permissible for Andrew Ryan, and it's easy to argue with the fall of Rapture. Ryan, who was out of options and no longer able to find happiness in Rapture, decided to end his life. And I could also see, the writers, the scene loses all of its power if Ryan survived. And also, Ken Levine, the writer of the first game, he didn't write the second game, so that could explain any disconnects or plot holes in the story or having to do with the Vita chambers. Recently, he started another studio called Ghost Story Games, so he won't be back for the next game, which the CEO of Take-Two said they're definitely interested in making. So, with all the evidence I talked about in this video, together with the world of Bioshock, which includes, plasmids, tonics, and time travel, the new writers could easily find a way to bring Ryan back for the next game. I wouldn't mind seeing Andrew Ryan again, but I would like to see him in another world other than Rapture. Something new and original with its own set of problems. But I'm not totally against being back in Rapture, as long as they can find a good reason to stay down there. And to wrap it up, I know I'm looking way too much into this, and it's a theory that's been brought up before, but with the 10-year anniversary coming up on August 21st, I thought it'd be a nice video to do as a sort of a tip of the hat to the series. So tell me what you guys think. Do you think Ryan is still alive? Do you think he should still be alive, story-wise? Do you think it works? And what would you guys like to see with the next game? Setting? Would you like to stay down in Rapture, go back up to Columbia, or do something totally new? But that's it for now. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later. Bye.
The slave obeys. Kill! Juices! I shall obey! Obey!
Hurry now! Grab Ryan's genetic key